This is my personal strategy for managing lipedema. I feel like we've talked about so many things with the inflammation, with, insulin resistance, with metabolic dysfunction, and combating stubborn fat, stubborn thigh fat, receptors, all of that. So these are things that I personally tried, and I feel like they have worked for me. And I'll talk a little bit about why. I won't go into any great detail as to why, but I'll start with the creams. I already mentioned that I learned about aminophylline from, what was his name? Lyle McDonald. From Lyle McDonald. And there is a product called Amylene, and I spent a lot of money on that, and I already explained that I feel like maybe, in spite of the research, maybe it doesn't really target and help oxidize fat, but at the very least, it definitely helps with fluid control. Lipoxyderm was another one that I tried. Buns of Steel they have a lot of products there that help warm up the thigh areas, so that if you're doing, lower body workouts, you might as well do everything you can to target the stubborn thigh fat. Might as well. And I don't know that I put on this list I talked about it earlier, but the thigh wraps. Anytime I applied the creams, I also put the thigh wraps, and what I would do is I would put them underneath my shorts so that they couldn't slip down. And that was just that's always been my strategy for that. And I feel like they have worked a lot for heating up the area. Now, for peptides, there's a lot of discussion on semaglutide and tirzepatide, but for me, I wanted to research it and see whether or not it could help to reduce the inflammation and assist with the lipedema. Could it assist with furthering the journey of this stubborn fat and the thighs? And I feel like it has done a lot for that. I feel like it's done a lot, probably for whole body inflammation reduction. I feel like 5-amino-1Q, one of the things that it does is it increases lipolysis, and it inhibits lipogenesis, which is really fascinating. So it shrinks fat cells. So if you imagine reducing your cell size, the adipose cell size, you would reduce your overall leg volume. And I lost 4.5 inches in my left thigh and 4 inches, I think, in my right thigh. Alas, we are not completely symmetrical, but I feel like that has really moved the needle for me as well. I've also, one of the things that I started doing some research on was thymosin alpha 1. I came into it through a friend of mine, and I started doing some research on it because I wanted to see if I could shorten the life of like a sickness, if I got strep or if I got the flu. And then I noticed that I felt amazing, like better than I had felt in a really long time. So I started doing more research on it, and as it turns out, it does a lot to reduce inflammation and modulates the immune system. And so you think, wow, if it turns down the inflammatory signaling, that probably explains a lot of the reasons why I had a lot of the reduced fatigue that I was experiencing. Felt amazing. Another one that I find absolutely fascinating is GHKCU, which is a copper, I believe it's a peptide. And I've read a lot about this. It felt like for me, it's actually promoted a lot of skin integrity, where it's helped my skin. Not only does it help with like skin, the way that your skin actually looks, but it actually helps like your skin, the integrity of your skin, so that when there's laxity, that it will help a little bit with that. I feel like also massages and also vibration plates really help with that. Weight training is also going to help with skin laxity. But I feel like combining it with the BPC 157 and the TB 500 help target inflammation. With the GHK, I've read that, there are women that say that it helps reduce cellulite for them. And I won't dispute what her results were, but you think, wow, can it be really that powerful? I haven't found, and I haven't done much to really find studies on it for that. But I just know that for the integrity of the skin and everything else that it does, I feel like it's been a really integral part of my personal strategy for managing lipedema. I mentioned earlier that I take NAC, which is the N-acetyl L-cysteine, and I take it with one that's selenium. I feel like it does some amazing things. I also take lymphotonic and lymph stem liquescence, and I feel like both of those do a lot to help the lymphatic system do what it needs to do. And the last one that I'll mention that might be inflammatory and could improve circulation, because we talked a lot about the reduced circulation and how that's a problem, and as well as the inflammation, because everything up above that I just talked about is mostly about inflammation, with the exception of lymphotonic, was the pycnogenol, which is the French maritime pine bark. And there's some interesting information on that and how it might improve circulation and be anti-inflammatory for the body. I would also say that very important to all of this is you don't have to have extreme workout routines. You don't have to have extreme anything in any of this. Pick a couple of things, look into them, investigate them, do your due diligence, read, and then pick something, make a decision and pick something and try to emphasize. But walk. That's a simple thing that we can do as we're doing and investigating all of these other things. If you can do HIIT training, yes, try to incorporate at least one session of HIIT training per week. And anaerobic cardio, I think, is really good because it really taxes the body and it really helps the body understand when it's go time and when it's flow time, which is always a good thing for it to understand. Strength training, full body. Ladies, work the lower body. I probably saw the most results when of course I was working upper body, but there are specific machines in a gym that target the outer thighs, and it's very difficult to do that. And you can do certain thigh exercises that maintain tension in the thigh, and that's also useful. But focus on the lower body. We need to be strong anyway, but this is a great strategy for managing lipedema. Kind of goes without saying, shifting your mindset. Moving from a strictly calories in, calories out mentality to a more strategic approach. Varying calories. Tom Venuto talked about in his book, I can't remember the name of it right now, but he talked about the zigzag theory, and he might not have come up with it. It could have been someone else. But varying the calories, don't stay in a chronically low caloric deficit for long periods of time. That's how we get metabolic adaptation. But understand that to an extent, calories in, calories out does work. It does. That's how I did it. Read anyone's weight loss journey, that's how they did it. But what I will tell you is you might reach a point, especially if you're practicing low caloric intakes for long periods of time, your metabolism will downregulate, you will burn muscle, and then you will reach the point where calories in, calories out no longer works. It's a huge point. It works until it doesn't. And that's why it's so important to vary the calories, eat your protein, do resistance training, and mitigate as much as you can muscle loss so that you don't predispose yourself to fat regain later when your body starts to change. If you hit perimenopause, menopause, when things radically start to change. I'll talk about that in another video. But understand that calories play a role, and where the calories come from, and in other words, the type of calories, are they coming from saturated fat or monounsaturated fat? We talked about that earlier. Understand If your calories are coming from sugar-laden foods, it's not the same as eating a steak that you cooked in ghee. Not the same thing. Yes, we've all seen the studies of the one guy. Have we seen any females that lost weight eating the Twinkie diet? I haven't read one. But it depends on where you are metabolically. I know I'm going off of a tangent here, but it just kind of flew right into my head right now that I just really need to say that with lipedema and everything that we've talked about and all of these slides, we have to have a very strategic approach about managing it and looking at it from all sides. We are not men. We are not small men. Our metabolisms are vastly different. Vastly different. And for that, we need to show ourselves love, appreciation, lots of self-compassion. I'm talking about just on a personal note, self-compassion, but compassion to others as well. Compassion to others and understanding that this is your journey. Your journey will not be like someone else's. My journey is the hardest thing for me to wrap my head around. My journey will not be like someone else's. I might not ever have thighs that measure 15 inches around. Ever. But I'm going to do the best I can to mitigate the inflammation, mitigate the pain, to keep my body in a healthy state, mitigate the metabolic dysfunction that I caused because of all of the low diet, the low calories that I did that were prescribed to me, and then ones that I followed of my own volition. But now it's time for the self-compassion, for the love, for the appreciation, for the body, for understanding everything that it can do, everything that it's been capable of all this time. Just loving on it, because cells are living things. They respond. They respond. Nobody will convince me otherwise. They respond to how we feel. And if we're constantly spitting out self-hatred and self-deprecation and loathing and all of these and jealousy of other people's, just on a clearly spiritual level, how does that advance the ball for us? It doesn't. It does not advance the ball for us. Just take that for whatever it's worth. And love all over yourself and appreciate yourself for everything that it's done for you and continues to do. Now I'm going to wrap this up by talking about the vibration plate. I feel like it's been a game changer for me, and I'll talk about why. But I bought mine. I bought a Rumblex, and you can buy ones that are less pricey than the one that I got. But I bought it from Life Pro. Why? Because they have a lifetime warranty. This is, do your own research, figure out the company that you want to go with, but this is just where I purchased mine. And I use it 30 minutes a day. I've been known to use it more minutes a day. I've been known to use it less, but I try to do it for that amount of time. And if you look at any kind of benefits, if you look it up, if you do any research, you will find that it improves lymphatic drainage. It helps reduce the fluid buildup, helps the swelling that's, in these lipedema affected areas. It can help boost circulation, by promoting the better blood flow, reducing the inflammation. It can help maybe lower chronic inflammatory markers, easing the pain and the tenderness. This is a big one for me. And that's one reason why I actually do it every day, because I feel like it really mitigates the pain and the tenderness for me. And another benefit would be breaking up that fibrotic tissue, stimulating muscle engagement. I mean, anything that is causing vibration at that, at those speeds. I do it at the top speed. and you will work up to that, but it's going to stimulate, the muscle and create some muscle tone. And then it can also help enhance your mobility, can support fat metabolism in the way that can assist in mobilizing some fat, those stubborn fat deposits when combined with other therapies, not alone. A lot of people think they can just get a vibration plate and they can just do that, and it's like, oh, I should lose some fat. Well, if you're doing some other things and you know what you're eating and you're in a caloric deficit and you're varying your caloric deficit and you're optimized metabolically, it's going to be an extra for you. But I would say too that it improves mood and energy. I always feel better after doing it. And this might be because vibration stimulates endorphin release. Also, I find that it does help reduce fatigue in my thighs, fatigue just generally all over. And I don't use it in place of low impact movement, but I do it mostly for all of the everything else. I would add low impact movement on top of the vibration plate. I wouldn't do it in lieu of, but it is a benefit for that on days that you're short on time. So in terms of nutrition, I don't know that it's a secret at this point, but I've been following a ketogenic way of eating since about 2014. Doesn't mean I never eat a carbohydrate. It doesn't mean that I never eat a fruit or steal a sweet potato fry that I've cooked for my husband. I mean, we got to get rid of the rigid dieting mentalities, seriously. But I would say that is the primary way that I eat, because it keeps, my insulin low. It also keeps, my inflammation in my body low. And I'm focused on the protein first, and then I'm focused on the fat, because I want to make sure that I preserve that I preserve muscle in every way that I can. I'm also focused on hormone balance, and I don't often eat processed foods. It's nearly zero, and I feel like most of them are really inflammatory and for me. And I would say that one of the things that maybe I'm guilty of is I say, okay, so processed food that I would consume would be an RX bar occasionally. A processed food might be occasional creamer. I feel different when I consume creamers, so I don't consume it very often. Another one that I consider a processed food would be a chocolate shake from Jocko. He has an amazing protein shake, and that you might want to look into, because it has, a lot of his have like the 3 great proteins in them. And so that would be processed foods that I actually consume. But I consume a diet rich in monounsaturated fat, so we talked about earlier, and MCT oil, because I like it in my coffee, because it gives a little bit of texture to it. Other optional considerations, I have a low lectin approach, because based on my research, I didn't know that lectins can actually bind to the insulin receptor. So I'm thinking, well, if it can bind to the insulin receptor, then what does that mean for glucose? I also feel like lectins, they make me feel tired. I feel like they might activate my immune system a little bit more, and they promote low-grade inflammation just for me. Look into it for you and see if this is a strategy that's worth considering. Additionally, read about oxalates in your foods. Dr. Sally Norton, I believe it is, has done a lot of research on this and even wrote a book about it. Look her up. Fascinating information. Oxalates can exacerbate inflammation or pain in individuals that are sensitive, so consider that when you're looking at her work. Obviously, we know avoiding anything that has high fructose corn syrup in it. And I would say just like a lot of sugar, keep your sugar minimal, and that will help keep a lot of your inflammation in check. And always hydrate. If you need electrolytes, take electrolytes. There's so many different companies that offer so many great electrolyte products these days. Hydration is key, can actually reduce fluid retention for lipedema. And so I would encourage you to look into that as well. And of course, anti-inflammatory herbs and spices. Do your due diligence and look up the ones that might serve you. I think Dr. Sally Norton talks about turmeric maybe being high in oxalates, so that might not be one that you want to consider. But look into that one and see if that's something that is worth incorporating for you. Other folks, I haven't tried a lot of these, but other folks try a lot of the lymphatic drainage techniques, like dry brushing, compression therapy, getting a rebounder, one of those little mini trampolines, and then using compression stockings or compression socks. Now I use compression tights when I go out to play racquetball, and part of it is because I'm doing a couple of things. Number one, I am minimizing movement in my thighs. Number two, I want the thighs to heat up so I can maximize the fat burn. And then number three, I'm probably wearing thigh wraps underneath that to even further use that strategy to target that stubborn fat. So that's one thing. The other thing is massaging to assist in lymphatic drainage. There are lots of videos on YouTube that talk about lymphatic drainage, and so that might be one thing that you will definitely want to look into, and massaging different lymph areas in your body that stimulate lymph fluid to move from one place to another. I think that that's really worth looking into. Now, even for some of the creams that might not, quote, burn the fat, as we know, or as we know that they don't, I still think that it's worth it to massage those areas, because if those gentle massages assist in lymphatic drainage and you're doing something good to mitigate fluid there, if it moves the fluid, and you're taking something like an aminophylline cream that has stimulated fluid release, then that seems like a win-win to me. All right, so for next steps, go find yourself some other great resources. I already mentioned Dr. Karen Herbst. Dr. Herbst has a lot of information out there. I mentioned, I saw a presentation that she did where she was doing the clinical diagnosis of it. And so if you need to watch that and you need to share that with your physician, help them help you. Another resource would be someone like Susan O'Hara, who has, I think she has a YouTube channel called Legs Like Mine. I know that her website is called Legs Like Mine, and I've watched a couple of her shows, and I find it very interesting. She could be a great resource for you. There is a Lipedema Foundation that a lot of women get together. They share a lot of information and a lot of resources about lipedema and the work that they're doing with some of these bigger organizations and with insurance and with the healthcare system. Some big work that they're really doing that's really necessary in bringing this to the forefront. And they actually also have a documentary too that is worth watching that is very similar to what I shared. And I actually watched that in my lipedema journey, where I thought, wow, I didn't realize that through all of this, that it wasn't just that the thighs, that I couldn't reduce the fat. I just really didn't understand what was going on. And that really helped me understand their little documentary there. And that's at lipedema.org. And then also I would recommend, look up Dr. Melissa at Natural Health Resources. She also has a YouTube channel, and she knows a lot about lymphedema, and also she knows some about lipedema. And I take liquescence that I get from FullScript, and I feel like it really helps with the lymphatic system. And so she can really probably shed some light on some additional things that I probably didn't even cover here. And so look her up as well. Of course, Dr. Ben Bickman, Dr. Ken Berry, I don't have listed here Obviously, there was a gal that he talked to, I think her name is Shoban, and she was doing some interesting experiments with nutrition, with the ketogenic way of eating, and I'm sure she will find also that it is very anti-inflammatory, this way of eating, and gets a lot of mental clarity as well, help you think, and helps combat fatigue. But that's just one aspect of it all. And then I didn't put on this list Lyle McDonald, and not that he knows a lot about lipedema, but he has so many resources about women and just understanding fat loss. And he has been in the trenches with helping women reach their weight loss goals. It's been fascinating to see where he's gotten in his own understanding of helping women and releasing just this rigid dieting mentalities and really being, understanding calories in, calories out, but not being rigid about, being orthorexic or any of these other things, these traps that we can fall into. And the last ones that I would kind of sort of mention here would just diving into some mindset tools, journals, not just affirmations, but making sure that you're affirming things that you want to affirm, that you're affirming that you can do this, that you can take the next steps, that you can find people that will help you and help you advance further in your journey. And then incorporating some daily practices that help you reinforce your self-acceptance and progress, self-compassion, love, and just overall reshaping how you feel about your body. And it doesn't matter how you got here, but just understanding that you're here now, and then just asking yourself, what steps can I take now to keep going, to keep advancing the ball? Find a supportive community who is doing research and understand. Stay away from the communities that are not supportive and that are criticizing everything that you're thinking and that you're doing. And Reddit has a subforum there. I would just mention that one right off the bat, called Lipedema. And I find that a lot of the people there are really, really supportive. And so you might find some community there. So I told you that I would give you an update on my thighs, because after all, this presentation was called The Battle of the Thigh Fat. And so with all of the things that I have really been working towards, you can see a difference in the pictures that I showed you before and the pictures even in 2023, 2024 to now 2025. And so if we just look here, just from a strictly observatory state, this is not being critical or any of that, this is just observing, we can still see in the left side, it's on my left, in this picture, the top part of my body has slimmed down fairly nicely. I have some tricep fat still that has lipedema. I can feel the beads that's characteristic of it there. It is very tender, it's very painful sometimes. And but you can't see that in this picture. What you can see is you can see my thighs. You can see the upper part of the thigh. You can see that my calves have slimmed down quite nicely. You can see the upper part of my thigh. They're still quite round, and you could see that's characteristic of what lipedema actually looks like. Now if we go to what's on my right side, I took this picture about a month ago, and you can see that it's visibly reduced, even though I'm not exactly in the same stance as I am in this picture. You can see that on the outside of the glute and of the upper thigh, the lipedema is still present, but it's not as prominent as it was before. Some of it is actually slimmed down quite a bit. And this, I believe, has really come from, using the tirzepatide, using the 5-amino-1Q to really target and slim down, but also continuing on with my racquetball, continuing on with my weight training, continuing on with, some of those massages that we talked about. So that is just an update for where I currently am in my journey. And my final thoughts here with you. We talked about a lot in this presentation, a lot. So I just want to reiterate that lipedema is a medical condition, and it's not just stubborn fat. It's not just about being overweight, overfatness, obesity, however we want to refer to it. It's a medical condition, and we already discussed everything that it involves. If you're just now discovering this, it's okay to be thankful. It's okay to run the gamut on the emotions. So many women actually have lipedema and don't even know it. You will get really good at spotting it from a long distance, and you can share with your thoughts, maybe with your friend or family member. I don't know how easy it is to broach the subject and mention it to someone, but it might be worth knowing, it might be worth sharing and saying, hey, I discovered that I had this, and now I wonder if it might be something that might answer some questions for you. I mean, you could figure out, if you wanted to share it with someone, what would be the right way to approach the subject. But just know, and share also with them, that there are ways that I've learned to manage it, that other women are learning to manage it. And I'm proof that strategies do exist. Other women are proof that strategies exist. Yes, losing weight improves it, but that doesn't hold all of the answers either. I also want you to know that you're not broken. You can feel better in your body. Make sure you have a lot of self-compassion. It's not easy to go from a place of self-hate to self-love, so don't try to make that jump all in one day. But you can start by just thinking of ways that you appreciate your body and all of the ways that it's tried to defend you, literally. In the presentation, we talked about all of the ways your body is working on your behalf. That's got to be worth something when it comes to appreciation. Am I right? You deserve answers. And if you've struggled with unexplained weight gain, struggled with weight loss, struggled with swelling, pain, I encourage you to keep seeking knowledge, keep digging deep, and advocate for yourself. You're not alone in this journey. I know it might feel that way right now. There are communities that will support you. I am here to support you as well. Find a community that understands what you're going through, because that connection can be so powerful. And know that every step you take counts. It's the small, consistent changes, whether in diet, whether you're moving your body, whether you're managing inflammation, all of these can make a tremendous difference in the journey. We talked about earlier researching some of the things that I suggested to you. Go back to that part. Research something. Try something on for size. Take notes every day. I write down every day what I took and how I feel, because it's not easy to remember. Sometimes we don't remember the changes over time, but if you do that, you have a reference point. Take pictures, take measurements. I would never have known that I lost 4.5 inches and 4 inches in the other thigh if I didn't take measurements, if I didn't take pictures. Some things you can't visually see and they require measurements. Take them, be okay with them, and just get on this adventure, this mindset of an adventure, and take some steps to have fun with it. Have fun with the research, because you're worthy of the care and the respect, and it doesn't matter what doctors, friends, family have told you in the past. Your experience is yours alone. It's unique, and you deserve to feel good in your body. Give yourself that experience in this lifetime. And this is just the beginning. Science is evolving. People are also working on our behalf. New treatments are coming out every day, new strategies every day, new peptides and support systems are evolving and emerging. My friend, hope is real, and so is the progress. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you have an amazing day. Be healthy, be well, and be vibrant.